Hi, I'm George, and welcome to the first day of the Kettlebell Kickstart Challenge. I'm excited to have you here. This is going to be a lot of fun. Today's going to be pretty low key, where it's going to be basically warm up. The warm up's usually only about 3 to 5 minutes, but today we'll take it a little bit longer and then just do a few hinge drills to find the hinge position. Nothing strenuous today, and you don't even need your kettlebell today. And I'm doing it that way because it's New Year's Day, and you might have had a little too much fun last night. And I will acknowledge that I look ridiculous in this hat, but it is the only way that I can find to keep the mic up where it's not on my shirt rustling every time I move. So hopefully this is a better viewing experience for you and you can laugh it up at me. All right, so we're gonna start the warm-ups. Every day warm-ups are gonna start with 6-point rocks. So you're down on the ground, hands, knees, and toes on the ground to start, and you just rock back and forth. This is great for opening your hips up and reversing a lot of the damage that we do from sitting so much in our cars and at work. Keep your eyes up on the horizon. This keeps your back nice and flat. We spend too much time in the seated posture with our backs curved. We don't want to bring that into this. So keep your eyes up, head up, and just keep rocking back. You can rock side to side. You might find that one of your hips is tighter than the other one. That's perfectly normal. Just notice it and make a note of it, and just keep working on it every time we're doing the rocks to try and improve your mobility in both your hips. So typically we'll do rocks for about a minute. However, this is also going to be a common resting position. So if we're doing a workout or practicing a skill portion of the workout and you are getting tired and you need to rest, drop down into this position and just rest from here. As you can see, this is not strenuous. You can catch your breath from here, but it allows you to regain your breath and work in a little mobility that way. And that's what we're always trying to do, is to make our workouts more efficient and to use time wisely. So instead of just standing and resting, drop down here and rock to rest. Okay, so again, normally that'd only be about a minute to start. From there, we're gonna stretch our hands out, and now we are in child pose in yoga. And then we rock up into downward facing dog. This is just an extension of the rocks, just a little variation to get some mobility work on our shoulders as well. Because when you're down here, you can feel this really opens your shoulders up and takes them through the full range of motion, while also working out some tightness in the low back. We'll do about 3 to 5 of those, and then we are going to roll over onto our backs, feet on the ground, knees up. We're going to do hip bridges. So the goal here is to drive your hips up to the ceiling and form a plank between your knees and shoulder line, as flat as you can get, as high as you can get up. Now when we start, we're starting with our knees apart, and this is going to work your hip flexors more. When you get to the top, just hold for a second. We're not going to be holding for a long plank. This is just a mobility warm-up drill to work the hips some more and the hip flexors. And then do about 5 like that with your knees apart. Then put your knees together so they're just touching and just have a little bit of pressure against each other. And then do another 5. And like this, they kind of take your hip flexors out of it, and it's going to work your glutes more. You'll feel it there more. And again, just 5 of these. 4, 5, and then we're going to roll over onto our bellies and get up onto your forearms. And from here, we're going to do neck nods. This is going to work some mobility in our upper back, our neck. You look up, and then your head goes up. You look down, head goes down, chin to chest. Look up, then head goes up. Look down, then head goes down. Always lead with your eyes. You look first before you move. You do about 5 of those, up and down, and then we're gonna go side to side. And this way, when you're looking to the side, you're gonna try and find your heel of that foot. So I'm gonna look to my right. I'm gonna try to find my right heel. So I'm looking, find my heel, looking, turn my head, find my heel. And same thing here, you look first and then start turning your head. And you're gonna go side to side about 5 times. Just loosen everything up in the upper back. And these are really good between presses as well. So when we get to pressing, this will be worked in between rounds of pressing. Okay, back down to your belly, and now we're going to do get-ups. Okay, so next we're going to do get-ups after the neck nods. Start down on your belly, and you're just going to stand up to your feet. And then you're going to get back down on the ground on your back, lay flat, and again, stand up to your feet. These are not burpees. You're not going super fast. This is just getting up and down off the ground. It's great fall prevention, and it's a great warm-up because it works every muscle in the body, getting up and down off the ground. And sometimes we'll be using these in the conditioning portion. And when you're doing these for 5 minutes straight, your heart rate gets up pretty quick. And it's a good way to work in both mobility and some conditioning if you're using it for that. But right now we're just doing it for a warm-up, nice and relaxed rhythm that you're going at. Don't go faster than you can move safely. We don't want to fall. But we're going to do about 10 of these, 5 from your belly, 5 from your back. All right. And then from there, we're going to get into it for the day. We'll be working on the hinge position and finding that. Usually our warm-up is only about 3 to 5 minutes. Today was a little bit longer because I'm explaining everything as I go to you, but that's okay because, like I said, we're going to keep the actual workout pretty low key today. We won't be using kettlebells. But now we're going to be working on the hinge position. All right, the hinge position is our most powerful position, and it allows us to generate power, move large amounts of weight. It's fantastic, but we don't do it a lot in everyday life. And the hinge position works your hamstrings and glutes, which are weakened by all the sitting we do. So it's the most important thing to learn and get down. And the position is kind of hard to get down if you're not already practicing it with a barbell. So the hinge position is hips back. All right, you have a big bend in your hips, slight bend in your knees, nice flat back, and feel some tension in your hamstrings and your glutes. So how do we find that position? Because me showing it to you is easy, right? So first you're going to lift up one leg, the hip crease right here. Take the edge line of your hand with your pinky, put it right there at that crease line. Same thing on the other side. You can feel your hip bones. All right, whenever we initiate a hinge, we're gonna place our hands here to initiate the hinge. It's just a reminder to move our hips back. So you're gonna take a shoulder width stance, feet right about shoulder width apart, toes pointed slightly out, and then hinge back. Push those hips back. But again, easier said than done. So the first drill we're going to do is the wall drill. You come up to a wall and you stand with your heels almost touching the wall. And then you're just going to reach back with your butt and tap the wall. Take a half step forward, reach back with your butt, tap the wall. Take a half step forward, reach back with your butt, tap the wall. Take a half step forward, reach back with your butt, and now I can't find the wall and I'm in my hinge position. You should be feeling the tension in your hamstrings and your glutes. If you do, then you know you found your hinge position. And if you need to practice that a few times, you can. If you didn't find it the first time, go back to the wall and just repeat the drill. And you can pause it here and attempt that as many times as you need to until you comfortably find your hinge position. Okay, if you can't find your hinge position well with the wall drill and feel that tension, we're going to try it on one foot. So get a stool or something to support yourself on. And you're going to drive one heel back on one leg. And you have to hinge your working leg to do that. So again, I'm doing without anything, but use something to support yourself so you don't fall, but you should feel the tension in your hamstring and glute on the working leg. Try that with both legs if you weren't able to find your hinge position on both legs. The other way to find the hinge position is to stand like you're going to jump 6 feet forward or 7 feet forward. You're going to try to jump as far as you can forward. That stance you take to jump forward is the hinge position. You're not trying to jump up, which would be more squatty. You're trying to jump forward. And you have to take a natural hinge position to do that. A few common errors with the hinge position to keep in mind. One is that, well, 2 of them start with your knees. And the first one is people try to hinge back, but they end up squatting down. And it makes sense. We spend a lot of time sitting, getting up and down, so that feels more natural. but you don't want to squat down. You just want to remind yourself to hinge back. My knees don't come forward. I have a pretty vertical shin. That's how you know you got a good hinge position. If you're squatting too much, you're going to have more of an angle to your shins. Your knees are going to come forward towards the front of your toes more. So if you catch yourself doing that, just reset, come back up, initiate with the chop on the hips, and push those hips back. So that's the first issue with the knees and the hinge. The other issue, which is equally as common, is some people keep their knees completely locked or close to it and just bend over. This isn't moving my hips back into a hinge position. This is just simply bending over. And if I'm trying to move a lot of weight this way with a deadlift or a swing with zero bend in my knees, and I'm just bending over at the waist, you're gonna risk injuring your back. So if you're not bending your knees at all, just come back up, reset, unlock those knees a little bit, and push the hips back. The knees, just unlocking them and getting that slight bend in the knees allows you to drive your hips back and get that tension into the hamstrings and glutes. Final issue that we have with the hinge position that's common is people rounding their back in the hinge position. And that's common because of all the time we spend like this. So to combat that, you're just going to move your shoulders back and then push them down away from your ears. Just push your shoulders down away from your ears and hinge back from there. And that's going to give you a nice flat back. When you're in the position, you can look up at the horizon. That will help flatten your back out as well. If you're having issues moving your shoulders back and down, the other thing to think about is to put your chest out. Just like Superman, when Clark Kent pulls his shirt open and sticks the S out, if you stick your chest out like that, it's going to automatically move your shoulders back and down, and you'll be able to hinge and keep that nice flat back. So slight bend in the knees, big bend in the hips, nice flat back. Our shins are vertical. Knees aren't going too far forward, aren't going over our toes. That's the hinge position. And we're getting to the one drill we're doing today before I cut you loose. Now, if you're still having trouble finding your hinge position, just keep doing the wall drills. Try the one-legged drills and just try to work to find that hinge position. If you've already found your hinge position, awesome. What we're going to do for the remainder of today is no jump broad jumps and hip bridges. So what we're going to do is take that broad jump stance and then do the same motion you would if you were going to do a broad jump just as fast, but don't let your feet come off the ground. So it's jumping without leaving your feet leaving the ground. And that's a no jump broad jump. Practice a few of those, and then just set a timer for 5 minutes, and we're going to go back and forth between one no jump broad jump and one hip bridge. So no jump broad jump, get down on the ground, hip bridge, and every time I get down into the hip bridge, I'm going to alternate between knees apart and knees together. Get back up, and again, go at your own pace here. You don't have to move as quickly as I am. You can go slower if you need to. No jump broad jump, down to the ground, hip bridge, no jump broad jump, down to the ground, hip bridge with my knees together. And this is just, we're doing this to practice the hinge position and work on waking our glutes up because, again, combating all the stuff we do with sitting too much. So I do my jump, get back down on the ground, do my hip bridge, and these are all singles, doing one at a time of each. You're not working out reps. We're not trying to get a workout in right now. This is just skill practice to practice the skills and get better at them. Every one of these workouts will start with a warm-up, a skill practice session, and then eventually we'll be adding in workouts for skills as you come to master them. And as the challenge goes on, there will be shorter skill sessions and longer workouts, but here in the beginning, it's pretty much just going to be skill practice sessions. This whole first week is going to be just spent on the hinge position and a little bit of carries as we work those in a couple days. Second week, we'll be expanding on the hinge position by learning the kettlebell swing. Once we get those two things down, week 3 will be squats and learning the squat pattern. And week 4, we'll work in presses and rows. Once we have all those down, in week 5, you'll just be doing workouts after the warm-up. The goal of this whole challenge is to get these basic skills down and how to do them at home in a short amount of time with your kettlebells. So that when you get to that 5th week and you see that what you can do with those skills in 20 minutes, you learn pretty quickly how much you can accomplish in 3 20 to 30 minute sessions every week right from home. That's the whole point of this challenge, and I'm excited to share it with you. I'm really glad you're here. And this challenge, we started on the 1st of the year. However, it's running for all of January. If you have any friends who you think might be interested in joining you, go ahead and send them the link to sign up for the challenge. All these videos will be available in the Facebook group and through emails. So even if someone jumps in on January 5th or January 20th or whenever, they can start. They'll just be a little bit behind the group that started on the 1st, but that's okay. We're all here. We're all here to support each other, and this is going to be great. All right. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you again tomorrow.